Okay, how would you make bigger enemies?
To be offended or frightened of everything.
So you've become like the sort of Tony Scarface of podcasting.
Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the morning show. Hope you're all doing better than Poseidon is.
Yeah. Got Poseidon in mid-tirade.
It would have been nice if he just stayed here.
Yeah, I thought that was quite entertaining, actually. Poseidon's having a consumer issue. As a consumer, he's not satisfied with the product and or service that is being delivered to him. You know, you guys have no idea how lucky you are. You can complain in 3 languages, and you were born into that without even trying. I can only complain in English. I can only complain in an articulate fashion in English. I can complain in French, but not as well as I can in English. He's letting that lady have it in French, eh? And he could very easily shift gears into English or Greek.
And then just pull out a couple Greek swear words in there.
Yeah, call her a malaka. She wouldn't know the difference.
All right, everyone, we hope you're doing well, and we certainly hope that you are following this YouTube channel. If not, subscribe and turn on those notifications. You can follow every one of us on our social media platforms. Before you do that, you can head on over to patreon.com/Pantelis. A bunch of exclusive content over there that you can have with minimal, what do you call it? A minimal...
Throw him a bone.
Yeah. Find yourself a package that suits your needs and help them out, support them. Just a bunch of good old comedy there. Ted Bird over here and Poseidon69. I'm Poseidon.com. Ted Bird, almost ready to launch a brand new season of Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast with your buddy and everyone's buddy here in Montreal, Terry DeMonte.
Next week we'll be in studio. We're going to record next Tuesday. Hopefully have it up online on Wednesday. Episode 1 of season 8.
4? Oh, 8?
Yeah, at least 8. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be every week now. It's not going to be, we're not going to put 10 in the can and then release them one by one over a period of 10 weeks. We're going to be in here every week.
That's amazing. That's so exciting.
And year round. Like we're going to do it like French radio. We're going to take the summer off, and we're going to take Christmas off. But other than that, every week we're going to have
awesome.
40 episodes a week. 40 episodes a week. Yeah.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Yes, we're going to do, what's that? 7 into 40 is like over 5 episodes a day.
Like 9 episodes a day, exactly.
We're not going to sleep. We're just going to be live 24/7.
You can pull it off. Go from morning to night. How are you, Ted? I missed you guys on and off. I was in last week. You weren't, and bouncing around there. But
well, hopefully now that we're in the fall, back to school mode, things will get back to normal. But over the summer, you know, everyone's just one guy's away 1 week, another guy's away another week.
Yeah, I told the guys this was the first year that we managed to actually just pack our shit and get away. Because the previous years, I mean, we took time off. It's just that we were afraid and reluctant to travel too far in case some emergency.
Because of the business?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you own your own business. That makes it tough.
it was
When
very.
you work for somebody, you can go away and not
you
worry
just- yeah,
because
exactly.
this is not your problem.
That's it, exactly. But so we had to stay around. I don't think we had to stay around. It's just I think it was more fear of something potentially happening. So we played it safe. And this year we just tested out a few things, and we managed to get away, and it felt fucking good. And I think we're going to repeat that next summer as
You
well.
went up north, eh?
We
Was
did
it up north you went?
We went quite a. We went to Baie Saint Paul.
Yeah.
So that's
north.
in
That's north of Quebec
it's
City,
in
right? I've never
Charlevoix.
been up there. It's supposed to be
Oh
beautiful.
my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I had never gone up there either. Super nice. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, did you rent a place?
We rented a hotel. It's on a little island called Île aux
A
Coudres.
hotel or a cottage?
It was a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hotel room where we went with
okay.
2 other families, so we traveled together. And it's a little island right in front of Baie Saint Paul. So you get to Baie Saint Paul. It's pretty, it's about a 5-hour drive there.
Yeah.
4.5, 5-hour drive. Then you take the little ferry, brings you to the island. We stayed there a couple of days, and it was beautiful. Just relaxed. Came back. We went up north a little to the Laurentians, and then when we got back from Laurentians, we went down to New York, and that was it.
Nice.
So we moved around a little bit, and it was nice. We got to relax.
If you want to buy something, I saw a cottage on sale yesterday online. I think it was on Facebook, north of Toronto, up in the Muskokas in Toronto's cottage country. 4.9 million.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's sold. This one's no longer available. It was
that's
listed
too
at 4.9. It's sold as sold at 4.8. So now is the time to buy.
Yeah. Some great deals out there, people. We where were we going? Oh, we just the other day we're I think it was over the weekend or maybe on Monday. I can't remember. We're driving with the girls in Montreal, and we're thinking, okay, let's just grab a bite somewhere. And I don't know how I ended up in the old port. We passed City Hall and we continued. And there's some beautiful development projects that have happened over there. Some condos that look to the water
Right.
and to the old port. And I was like, oh, it's really nice here, So just out of curiosity, I picked up my phone and I looked at anything available. And it isn't cheap. It isn't cheap. It was, you're looking at 1.6,
million or more?
1.5,
Yeah.
1.6. There was one at 2.3, I think. Yeah.
I think I saw that cottage listing because I was looking up online the neighborhood. Somebody posted a video on Twitter of the neighborhood Kamala Harris lived in when she was in Montreal. She lived in Westmount.
Westmount.
And what they posted was the corner of Argyle and Westmount Avenue. I think it's Avenue.
Okay.
And that's the H3Y postal code. So I looked that up among wealthiest postal codes in Canada. That comes in at number 2.
Wow.
Number one is in Toronto. I forget what it is, H4R or whatever it is. Lawrence Park area of Toronto. That's the number one. That's the wealthiest postal code. I don't know if it's by income or property
Or per capita.
evaluation, but then they broke it down further, and they were listing by neighborhood the average value of homes. And I think it was again a Toronto neighborhood where the average home in this neighborhood was something like $13 million. Like that's where Drake lives, right?
I love that it's the average.
Yeah, exactly. The average. Can you imagine?
I was expecting four to 7 million.
No, they own the $4.8 million cottages up in the Muskokas.
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious.
Crazy, eh?
So Westmount, so that postal, because I'm just thinking about Montreal and some areas that I've seen that I thought were the wealthiest, and I thought up in the mountain, like Summit Circle up there.
Yeah. Well, it's all the same. It's all the same area.
Okay.
Yeah. Like even if you're halfway up the hill.
Yeah.
You're
That's beautiful up there, though.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
There was a house selling. I follow this account on Instagram by this. He's a realtor, and he sells like really high priced houses.
right in Montreal.
In Montreal, and I think he has some in Ontario as well. And he was selling a house up there for like $20-something million or $19 million. It was one of those houses that broke the record there. That
So
sold
what's
the
his
most.
commission on that? Like even at 5%, that's $1 million.
Nobody makes 5. I think they make 8.
Yeah.
And if there's another, let's say I sell, so my agent has 8%, and then if you come to buy, they split it with your agent, so 4 and 4.
right?
I think, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody knows, they can correct me. But I'm pretty sure, well, at least that's how it was when we bought our place.
I wonder how you get to that level in the real estate game. Is it just who you know? I guess, eh?
You gotta have the network that has the wallets to buy these houses, and then you slowly build your reputation.
Right.
Yeah. $20 million. It always intrigued me. Like, I always wanted to go knock on one of those doors. Hey, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Just out of curiosity. We're just driving by here. You know?
There's somebody who does that down in New York. I see him
Yeah,
online
the TikToker
sometimes.
guy.
Yeah,
but he does it with
that
cars.
TikTok? Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's
goes
like,
up
oh,
to the
that's a
most
nice
expensive
car.
cars.
Yeah,
what do you do for a
Yeah.
living? Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And now he's become so famous that he gets solicited by actual celebrities. Like, I've seen that. Like, it's not just random people with nice cars.
So they solicit him to approach them.
Yeah. Or he does it with
But they
them. I
make
don't
it
know.
appear that it's
So they do the whole script.
it's
They do the whole
staged,
thing.
but they try to make it appear like it's
Like, I think he
happening
did one with
spontaneously.
one of the Logan brothers.
Oh,
So he's
yeah.
like, hey, man, that's a nice
Yeah.
car. What do you do for a living? He's like, I'm a boxer, and blah, blah, blah. So they did the whole skit. But, I mean, everyone knows what that guy is. But, yeah, that's pretty cool.
You don't know what you can trust online these days. I actually prepared something for today along those lines. I've noticed on Twitter in particular, or X if you prefer, AI-generated content is rampant. It's rampant.
Yeah, and it's the quality. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's almost real.
Well, it's getting better. Some of it's really, really obvious. And one of the clips I pulled, actually, both of the clips I pulled are quite obviously AI generated. But one of them is meant to dupe people. One of them is flat out propaganda and anti-Semitic propaganda, which makes it dangerous in my view. But the other one's just funny. And that's what I like. I like the funny stuff. Yeah, where they take a video and who in the blue blazes is phoning me? I guess they don't know that I have a podcast.
You just answered, though.
Oh. Gonna have to call you back. Sorry. I'm doing a podcast.
That was the answer button there.
I didn't realize I answered. I thought I hung up.
But some of them are really getting. There's a few that I've seen. It's these digital models or whatever. They look unbelievably real, and you're like, oh well, look, she's fucking hot. But then when you got to really focus here. Okay, that looks a little fake. But then again, maybe she's real, and there's like some Photoshop or touch-ups done or whatever. But there's more and more of those fake accounts online that you think they're actually real, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're AI generated.
Yeah, you have to be, even before AI hit its stride, you had to be careful about what you believe online. And I always, I've been of the opinion, or the way that I've done it is with information at least, is I seek out multiple perspectives and then come to my own conclusion, because I don't believe mainstream news media anymore. I think that they're very biased and they lean heavily towards the left. So I'll read what they have to say, but then I'll also go onto social media and independent media and see what they have to say. And then, try to draw my own conclusion through the lens of multiple perspectives.
You're a smart guy, and you do that because you want to actually have the information. The danger in this situation is that your average person that just sees the headlines or hears a clip or anything like that, automatically they believe it.
Yeah,
right?
What's it called? Confirmation bias.
Yeah.
They want their point of view to be validated, so that's the content that they go looking for.
Yeah.
They go looking for something that validates their point of view and go, see?
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah,
but have you looked at other perspectives? No. Because this one's right. Because this is what I say.
That's the first one I read.
Yeah.
So it must be right. And it's getting dangerous now also with the algorithms, because the more content of that nature that you follow or that you watch, well, the more of that you're going to get. And I realized the other day on Twitter, and I think it started with last year's attacks there in Israel, the October 7th attack that we spoke about. I went down this rabbit hole, and I saw a lot of the footage taken from those terrorists.
From the terrorists.
Yeah, because they all had GoPros, right?
Yeah.
And I went down this fucking rabbit hole of just watching those, and I don't know why, because they're horrendous clips, right?
Well, you can't turn away. It's one of those things where you don't want to watch, but you can't help yourself.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I also felt, for me at least, it was important just to understand the gravity of the atrocities that occurred. But I think ever since that moment, my Twitter feed is just out of control. It's just violent content, people getting hit, people getting shot, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know how to just get away from that.
Yeah, I don't either, and I get more content from accounts and people who I don't like and who I disagree with than I do from people who I like or agree with, and maybe that's because I seek out that content.
Right.
I want to see what the people on the other side have to say. But that's all I'm getting now.
But it's strange because my activity on Twitter was always primarily just getting news, right? So most of the people I follow are either journalists or news agencies or whatever, and I don't know how it happened, and I just keep getting garbage. And then I noticed that on your Twitter you have two tabs. You have For You and Following. So when you're on the Following tab, it's just accounts that you follow, and then For You, it's suggested content. And this is where, see there you go, it's probably a cop getting shot. Like, this is shit that just keeps coming up on my feed. It's incredible.
And this is what the algorithm thinks you want to see.
Yeah, and I remember that normally this is where I would, more often than not get my feed from, all the news and stuff. But now it's just filled with garbage, and I have to go on Following so I can get what I used to get.
Maybe that's what I need to do then. I've also noticed that my own content, things that I post on Twitter, don't get nearly as much traction as they used to.
Right.
I have over 11,000 followers, and some of my content, it gets, maybe a few hundred views, no interaction. Maybe I'm just boring. I don't know.
I don't think it's you, Ted. I think it's just because, well, just based on my experience, you're flooded with so much stuff that yours just gets drowned in all that content, right? People don't necessarily see it. There's so many things appearing on like every second nearly, right?
Well, I've also noticed that started happening after when Elon Musk bought Twitter, I signed up for the blue check.
Okay.
I was paying the $15 a month or whatever it was.
And did you notice any difference?
A little bit, but it wasn't worth the $15 to me. It wasn't worth the money, so I canceled that. And ever since I canceled that, my engagement's gone in the toilet. So I think that there's a built-in mechanism there that if you're a subscriber and you cancel, you get penalized, and they're trying to get me. He's lost a lot of money apparently on Twitter or X since he bought it. So he's trying to make it back. And I guess one way of trying to make it back is to suppress people to the point where they go, well, fuck it. If I'm not getting any reach or engagement, I guess I'll have to sign up for the thing.
Yeah, but that's dangerous, because if you notice that your activity isn't, you don't get as much engagement in your activity on Twitter than, for example, on Instagram, you'll just stop using Twitter and transfer everything on Instagram.
I get more engagement on Facebook than anything else.
Yeah.
And that might be a measure of my age and the age or ages of the people who I'm engaging with. Something I'll put on Twitter that might get 3 likes. I put the same thing on Facebook and it gets
explodes.
150.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't understand.
Anyway, I try not to validate myself according to how many likes I get on.
No. But it's just,
I don't want to fall into that trap, because I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and it's very dangerous. But I'm just saying that what we're trying to illustrate here is the complexity of how the social media and where it's gotten.
Yeah, well, the AI is potentially dangerous to me, because it's such an effective propaganda tool.
Yeah.
Like, it can really, and you had mentioned, people who just believe whatever they see, right? People who don't give it any kind of critical thought can be very easily swayed, and I think there are a lot of people out there like that. So, you can have enormous influence on a great number of people with lies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just for fun, Poseidon, when you get a chance, look at your Twitter DMs.
Yeah, I already prepared them. The videos?
Okay. Like I said, there's 3 of them. One of them's a little bit too long. It's pretty funny, though. It's the phone call it's an AI version of the phone call. I don't know if you want to watch this. This is like 2.5 minutes long or so.
We're going to skip through it.
Okay, it's the phone call. It's
with
3.5
her and
minutes.
her
When she's
VP,
calling Tim Walz to let him know that he's
Leave it. Let's
that
watch
he's
it.
her pick. He's her pick for VP. This is AI, obviously, but it sounds just like her and him.
This is AI?
Yeah, watch.
Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Listen, you weren't my first choice. To be honest, you weren't even in my top 10. But no one else wants to run as my VP because they all know I'm going to lose.
Okay, now you can tell it's AI.
Who is willing to
Yeah.
be my running mate?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically career suicide. But I did some dumb shit a few years back.
But the voices are really good. Like the voices
So
they've.
they told me.
Oh, the voices, they have it down.
Yeah.
See, you
Like
notice
it-
in the mouth. That's when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
notice it. Yeah.
Like
It's not lip synced.
If this was just an audio file, you wouldn't be able to tell. There's no way you could tell.
You wouldn't know.
Normal American.
There's another one.
There's a little bit of a robotic thing that you can sense, but you really have to focus in
Yeah,
on
you
it.
got to be listening for it. Yeah.
schools. You basically cheered on the George Floyd rioters.
But it's getting really good. It's getting really good.
You implemented a
Yeah.
snitch hotline during COVID. And Tim, you signed a law that allows the state to take.
So this is funny. This is obviously satire and parody.
Tim, we got a lot of cleanup to do here. But listen, we already got the mainstream media gaslighting America into thinking that you're super normal.
Who comes up with that?
It's really well done. It's clever. It's well written. It's really well
A lot
written.
of people have noticed this sort of down-to-earth, likable quality to him.
Very moderate in Congress.
A moderate Democrat, a centrist, but a more centrist.
Kind of a centrist Midwesterner in persona.
That's pretty funny because I'm weird as f.
Okay, so here's the plan. In order to hide your own weirdness, we want you to accuse Trump and J.D. Vance of being weird. Just say it over and over again.
Weird. And then they start being weird. They're weird. Donald Trump's weirdness. Very weird. It's just too weird. Weird. Okay, so how far left are we admitting to being here? Like,
We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
God.
I can't take it.
But just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah. No. We're flip-flopping on everything right now. We want to keep the suddenly starts rerouting inexplicably and you have no idea where you're going and you're afraid your GPS might just drive you off a cliff. We're exactly like that.
what do we say if reporters ask us about policy stuff?
Oh, we're not taking questions from reporters, Tim. We're not prepared for that. But if you do,
This is so well done.
with a
Yeah,
reporter,
even the hand movements. Look at the hand movements.
you know.
No, that's real. The clip is real. They actually filmed this conversation.
Okay,
So it's just it's just a mouth.
said that, and it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage. But
Yeah, and it's socialist or progressive perspective.
no. Like, what do you want to know?
What?
Wow, that's horrifying.
Tell me, your radical left political views, are those real?
Oh, no, of course not. No, honestly, I will have whatever political views you pay me to have.
A white male version of me.
You're right. No one voted for me either. Let's see what can be unburdened by what has been.
All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Hey, you ever notice that Harris Waltz sounds like Harry Balls?
I had not noticed that. Thank you for that. Bye, Tim.
It's well done, eh?
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, what's the other two you sent?
So that's funny. This one here, this is a serious one, and this is
it's only a minute.
yeah, this is, and again, you can tell right away from the lips that it's AI, but it's basically it's anti-Semitic content saying that the Jews are all pedophiles, and well, you just listen to what she says, and this is being presented as legitimate content.
Oh wow.
Strange doctrine, Adam Kadmon doctrine, which Adam Kadmon originally was, according to Zohar and Talmud, he was androgynous.
Androgynous?
Yeah, this is about how the Jews are behind transgender.
Female in one body, and this is why you see this transgender agenda today, and there are laws, very serious laws, passing in Alberta, Canada.
Is Zionism behind the transgender movement?
Yes, it gets its origin in Zionism, and it gets its origin in the Talmud, Zohar, and Kabbalah. It's a Kabbalistic doctrine of Adam Kadmon.
And this is fake. This is AI generated.
Eventually,
it's not legitimate.
Is it?
Yes,
because it looks real.
No, watch your lips. It's not legitimate.
Well, okay, yeah, the timing is off, but
bring it to the original. Who was original Adam? He was androgynous.
The sound is a little delayed, but if you notice her lips,
is to make humans that on Earth that will survive whatever it is they're bringing androgynous.
Yeah, that could match though. I think it's just that it's off sync.
Yeah.
But this is ridiculous. Yeah, obviously.
Well, then it's if she's actually saying that, then that's hate speech, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to give this one a language warning, though. The language is really salty in this one.
I think I've seen this.
It's really good.
I can't wait.
This is Trump calling the Prime Minister of Britain over for putting people in jail just for posting memes online.
Oh, yeah.
It's Big Dick Don here.
You got to go back to the beginning.
It's Big Dick Don. It's Big Dick Don. No.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me put that louder.
Okay.
It's Big Dick Don here. I'm hearing rumors that you're locking people up for posting memes. What the fuck are you playing at, you dirty commie cocksucker?
Yes, but because they are far-right folks saying hurty words and upsetting people.
Listen, I'm going to stick my foot far right up your ass.
You can't do that to me. My dad was a tool maker.
Well, he certainly made a tool for the World Economic Forum.
Don't you bring Davos into this. I'll tell my mummy.
Listen, you slimy bastard, I'll own everything and love it.
She worked in the NHS.
Yes, well, my mom, who was probably the greatest mom there ever has been, came from Scotland. She always told me, Donnie, don't ever let those commie bastards take over the home country. So when I do get reelected, I'm going to invade your fucking country and make it great again. Down here.
Oh man, there's definitely. I mean,
look. Here's the thing, if you can watch this and be like and could tell and take it only for entertainment purposes, then yeah, it's cool that we could do this nowadays. But the thing is, some people will take this seriously. And that's scary.
Yeah.
It's not scary that we're able to do this. It's actually kind of cool. What's scary
is how it can be used and how it's interpreted.
Not even. It's how some people will take it seriously. That's the real scary part.
Yeah.
Well, they're just dumb.
Yeah, but again, I don't want to call people out there dumb, but I mean, come on, guys. Do your research properly. If you're gonna follow, especially news content.
Of course, Walter Ling wasn't happy about it.
Who? What'd you say?
No, nothing. Forget it.
Oh. So what else did you want to talk about? Oh, you had some hockey stuff that you wanted to discuss.
Well, there was the horrible story last week of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew, the two hockey players who were killed in the accident in New Jersey. They were cycling on a country road, and a guy who was allegedly drunk hit them and killed them both. And the way it happened was he was in a hurry. He was trying to pass the vehicle in front of him. The vehicle in front of him moved over to the left because to give the two bikers, cyclists, space. The guy who ended up hitting the cyclist didn't realize that they were there. So when the guy moved over to the left, he thought, that fucker's trying to block me from passing. So he passed on the right.
Oh, no.
And he hit the cyclists, and he killed them. And he was arrested, and faced multiple charges, including, I don't know what the exact technical term for it is, but, drunk driving, vehicular homicide, he's in big trouble. And of course, people are on social media saying this guy's a piece of shit, and I hope he dies, and bring back the death penalty, and because people have that outlet now, and I understand people are angry about what happened. Johnny Gaudreau, by all accounts, and his brother both were good men, and they were family men, right? And it's just this, and the two of them were going to be groomsmen at their sister's wedding the next day.
That's the saddest thing of all. Like, you go there for a happy event, for a happy moment. Imagine the family getting ready just to party and to be like the happiest day, right? A wedding. And it's stained by the most tragic thing that could ever possibly occur.
Yeah, that's not, that's something that you can deal with, but I don't know if you can ever recover from a tragedy of that.
I don't think you could.
That magnitude, and that counts for everybody, including the guy who's been charged. And the first thing, and I hope, too, that he is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. That's what should happen. But the first thing that came to my mind when I read the details of the accident, I thought about all the fucking stupid things I've done and all the bad decisions I've made and all the bullets I've dodged. And I thought to myself, there but for the grace of God go I. And I thought about the two guys on their bikes, and I thought, two young guys, that could have been my two sons.
Yeah.
Again, there but for the grace of God.
Yeah.
So that was and I don't know, maybe it's because I've been hanging around with the right people for the last number of years, but the first thing that came to my mind was I felt terrible for them and the tragedy, but I also felt a measure of gratitude when I thought about how that could have been any of us. That could have been any of us, including the guy. Have you been impatient on the road before?
All the time.
Have you gone, get the fuck out of my way? Come on, let's go.
Every time I cross into Montreal, I become Jim Carrey in that movie there where he has a dual personality.
You don't even have to be drunk to get impatient and do something
easy
stupid
to get
on
frustrated.
the road.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, the guy was obviously drunk from what I read as well. But initially the report that came out, I was like, because they said that the guy that killed him remained on the scene, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, oh man, poor guy must feel terrible. What a crazy accident, an unfortunate accident. And then immediately you put yourself obviously in the shoes of the family, having lost two of their sons. But also you think of this guy who just, it's an accident. An accident's happening. You're like, oh no, you just ran over two cyclists, right?
Yeah.
But then you read the details and you're like, fucking idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it could happen to anyone. It could have happened to anybody.
I've done stuff that stupid on the road before.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't, stone cold sober. Impatient.
Yeah.
Fuck it out of my way.
Yeah.
I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
Let's go.
People need to relax, man. And it's so difficult. There's so many things that we're dealing with on a regular basis. And it's just sad. It's sad. And immediately I just thought of the circumstances around the death. And I'm not a hockey guy. I don't even know who these guys were. I had never even heard of this guy's name before.
Johnny Gaudreau was beloved in the hockey community. He was by all accounts just the nicest guy and a family man, two young kids.
And he was a good hockey player too, from what I read.
Great hockey player. His wife put out a really nice, touching Instagram post, I think 2 days later, just addressed to him. That was just, just the sort of thing that, it doesn't make up for what happened, but sometimes tragedy brings out the best in people, and you could see what kind of person she is from that message that she posted about him. And another nice thing that and again, small comfort, but comfort nonetheless, it came out of it. Cole Caulfield, who plays for the Canadians, announced he was changing his uniform number from 22 to 13, which was Johnny Gaudreau's number with when he played with Calgary and with Columbus. Cole Caulfield was his teammate, I believe, at Boston University when they played together in the U.S. college ranks. And so to honor his former teammate, Cole Caulfield's changing his number, which was a nice gesture.
Great gesture. Yeah, no, this reminded me, and of course there's completely different circumstances, but you remember when Jean Lapierre died, the well-known journalist, former politician? He was traveling to Les Îles de la Madeleine with his family to bury his father. His father had just passed away. So they're expecting the rest of the family to fly in from Montreal, and the plane fucking crashes, and the rest of the family just dies. I think just his daughter survived, or that wasn't on that flight. So it was him, his wife, I think his brother or sister or something like that. And it's just, these are the types of circumstances that make you just wonder, like, there's an expression in Greek where there's a word that it's called pepromeno. Pepromeno is kind of like a destiny. It's like it's written. It's like whatever you do, if it's written out, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like this that happened that you're like, God damn, maybe that shit really does exist, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's written out. I mean, that's how you're going to go down, you know?
And the question you can't answer is why?
Yeah.
Why? Why would that kind of tragedy be visited on his family? Just on their family?
Yeah, yeah. And just the chances of that happening, right? On a funeral, you're going to, sad event, and then you just double down and you just multiply the deaths. I mean, that poor mother of his was burying her husband, and then a couple days later she had to bury the rest of her family. So these are just sad things that happen.
There was another incident about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more. It might have been 2002. There was two hockey players, Danny Heatley and Dan Snyder. They were teammates with the Atlanta Thrashers, I believe, at the time. And they were in Heatley's Ferrari. And they had an accident, and Snyder was killed. And I believe Heatley was drunk. He might have ended up going to jail for this. It effectively ended his career, as I recall. And they were best friends.
Yeah.
So he gets in a drunk driving accident, and he kills his best friend.
How stupid do you think that guy feels today?
The family, Snyder's family, forgave him. Like they made a point of privately and publicly forgiving him. And I can only speculate on what difference that must have made in his life. But the power of forgiveness is, it's strong, man.
For sure.
I'm sure it made an enormous difference in his life, because I'm sure that he lived and probably continues to live with
the guilt,
a lot of guilt over that. But to be forgiven by the family of your friend whose death you were responsible for, to be forgiven by them, that's got to take a big part of the load off.
For sure.
And it takes a big part of the load off the family as well, because if they spent the rest of their lives being angry and bitter against him, that's going to take an emotional toll on them as well. So in that situation, they did the right thing. And it's way too early in the aftermath of the Gaudreau tragedy for that family. Well, it's not for me to say, but I would, if it was me, it would be way too early to think about something like that. But at some point, depending on how the trial unfolds, depending on what kind of contrition this guy demonstrates, at one point, I think I would have to, if I was a surviving member of the family, I would have to consider sitting down with him and mustering as much forgiveness as I could for him and for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's powerful, man. Forgiveness is powerful.
It's tough, though.
I know. Believe me, I know. I've been divorced twice.
I mean,
but you know what? The one time that I was in a position where I was the one who had the power to forgive, and I did, it was good for me.
Yeah.
It was good for me. It was good for my kids.
Yeah.
So, and that's why, maybe that's what made me think of that, and that's how I know that it's a powerful tool.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports, wanted to get to something else there, because your buddy, Tony Marinaro, there was an announcement, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, that he was taking up, it's not the morning spot, but I think the mid-mornings
on BPM spot, 91.9.
So this is a French radio station, basically. And it made news. I saw the news. Where did I hear it? On some other news channel. I can't remember where it was, that they mentioned about him, or maybe I read it in the Journal de Montréal or something like that, which is big, because, the Journal writing about this Anglophone picking up a spot on French radio is pretty significant, and good for him. I wanted to, we wanted to kind of just give him a little shout out.
100%. I think it was his second day. Tony, who's Anglophone or allophone, as you wish. He's Italian.
Yeah.
He's of Italian descent. I think he grew up in what's next to LaSalle? Is it Villemard?
Yeah, or Lachine, Villemard.
No. I think it's Villemard.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tony's on his show on the French radio station, English/Italian Tony, interviewing the Canadiens general manager, Kent Hughes, who's an
also an
Anglophone from Beaconsfield. They're on the French station talking French about the Montreal
Isn't that
Canadiens.
incredible?
Yeah. But that to me was, that just speaks to Montreal in 2024.
Yeah. And good for him because the obstacles, and I don't know him personally, I just relate to the situation of not being a Francophone, of being born into a family of immigrants, and the struggles that they went through because of whatever obstacles, right? Mostly language related, right? To do what he was always passionate to do and to excel in an industry where, and we've spoken about this many times, where if you're not French, if you're not in the French ecosystem, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. And not only is he doing it, but he is doing it really well.
Yeah. Radio
and TV. Good for him.
Tony started out, I would say 20 plus years ago. He started out as he was one of the callers. He used to call Ted Teven's show. He was Tony. Was he Tony from LaSalle or Tony from Villemard? Anyway, he was a caller.
Yeah.
And he was so passionate, and I think Ted Teven encouraged him, and he got his foot in the door at TSN, and he was basically, in the beginning, he was like a fan with a microphone, right? But then he honed his broadcasting chops, he honed his journalism chops, and he became a solid professional broadcaster.
Yeah.
And I worked with Tony for a couple of years at TSN, and I've never worked with anybody who works harder than Tony Marinaro. Tony works his ass off.
Yeah.
And he got to where he is now by hard work and dedication.
Yeah.
He didn't take any shortcuts. Well, you can't. If you're an Italian kid from LaSalle or Villemard, there are no shortcuts onto the French sports station. And
let's just say the doors don't just open for
No,
you.
they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And he's good for him, I say. He's earned it.
You had him on your podcast, I think, right?
We had
Terry?
Terry and I had him on a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, go back and listen to that episode. You'll get his full story. And I think he was even on Freeway Frank's podcast as well.
Probably, yeah.
I think.
And Tony's very opinion. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. He knows his hockey, and especially the Montreal Canadiens. And he's very opinionated, and you probably won't agree with all of his opinions. And a lot of people, I don't know about a lot of people, some people don't like him. Fucking Marinaro. Fucking big mouth. But I'll tell you what, because I know him, I can tell you to know him is to love him.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's a good man. He's a good dad. He's a good husband. He's, nothing wrong with Tony.
Good for him. Good for him. And congratulations on this new venture. Let's talk about back to school, because kids are back to school. You sent me an article about cell phones.
Nice.
What? He just heard back to school.
Yeah.
He's thinking
he wants to have kids so that he can go to the parent-teacher interview, and he's hoping it's going to be that teacher that he had up in the screen there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, you're in production, right? We're thinking of doing like a school calendar with our teachers. You want to take some pictures or video for us?
I volunteer.
What's happening with
Have you seen the teachers nowadays though? These young ones. Oh my God, they are phenomenal.
Look, I'm not going to comment on that. I got kids in school.
We know teachers look like now.
I dated a teacher a long time ago, Miss Jewer.
While you were a student?
No.
That would have been nice.
Yeah. Oh, Miss Jewer. I think I need some discipline.
What is it with us guys?
I don't know.
Like teachers, librarians.
I don't know.
Police officers.
I think it's the glasses.
I don't know what it is.
Or anything that can get us to sit down.
Nurse.
I think we like sitting down.
I think it's these positions of, maybe not authority, but of
care. Positions of care.
Maybe we're into femdom.
Yeah. Sorry?
Maybe we're into femdom.
But it's positions of care with dominance. So I think we like women, because women are naturally nurturing, right? So I think when they achieve the highest level of nurturing, and that is to nurture others that you don't know with like dominance and you know, I think that's what we like about it, is to be nurtured hard.
Nurture me, baby.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, teach me my ABCs. Yeah. Tell me how robbing a bank is not good.
No, I sent you that particular article because it's about cell phones, and I think in just about every province across the country now, cell phones are more or less, to a greater or lesser extent, banned in the classroom.
Right.
And I think that's good. Because I know that if I was a student and I was in the classroom, I wouldn't stay off my cell. I can't stay off my cell phone wherever I am.
No. Especially knowing more and more these days kids are distracted.
Yeah.
Like they're way more distracted than we were, I think, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, imagine on top of that having a tablet or a phone on you. Pfft.
Yeah, well, kids aren't going to pay attention if they're allowed to have their cell phone in class and have it on. They're not going to be paying attention. They're going to be online. They're going to have it under their desk. They're going to be online, or they're going to be texting their friends. And I think that's the way you've got to go.
Yes, just for people's information, here in Quebec, the government directed its school boards to restrict phone use, but that's not remove it, right? So I'm guessing they still have their phones on them. It's just that they can't use it while in class.
Yeah, you're not supposed to use it while in class. Or it has, and obviously your notifications have to be turned off.
And this is elementary school and high schools, by the way.
Yeah. And that, to me, that makes sense. Otherwise, it's just the Wild West. It's just a free-for-all.
Can you imagine being a teacher in front of that classroom and like 2/3 of your class is just like this?
Yeah. And the kids aren't going to learn shit. No. If they're on their phone, they're not going to learn anything.
Mind you, because I know now that they have smart boards in class, which has... I mean, if I were in school today, like in high school, it would be much more interesting because you can bring up stuff, like you can get articles and you can see videos, and it's so much different than the chalk, on a blackboard.
Yeah, I think the technology offers great opportunities for learning, but as long as it's used for that and not for www.myteachershot.com.
Rank my teacher. I have a lot of friends and family that are teachers, and we talk often about the reality, and it's not easy. It's not. It's really not easy. Mind you, don't forget that parents now are much more. They're nosier. Like our parents sent us to school and they trusted the teachers.
Yep.
If there was an emergency or something really terrible happened, they would intervene and stuff. But in general, judging by my parents, when you're in school, that person there is in charge of you and they can do whatever the fuck they want. And then when you come home, we take over.
They would even at times tell them you could be my kid, right?
Oh yeah. My father certainly. I went to the elementary school I went to, just on a side story. There was this man, a teacher.
Tell me about the man.
And he's an old...
Is this man in the room with us now?
So this guy's old school, right? This guy's an old school teacher.
How old school?
Started teaching.
Was this a Greek man?
It was a Greek older man.
Oh boy, I don't like where this is going.
I know. So this guy started teaching like in the 60s, I think, or something like that, And this is, the Greek community school, far away from whatever legislation or control from, public or private schools in Quebec. And he used to hit kids. He used to literally beat kids. And
open-handed slap.
Oh yeah. Rulers, books, whatever. We were in grade 6, his last grade before he retired that same year, and I'll always remember that. He never hit me. I think that I got lucky because he knew my dad very well.
Okay.
But other kids weren't that lucky. And all this to say that back in those years, I remember the parent-teacher meetings where my father would tell him, listen, if this guy bothers you, send me his ears in an envelope at home. Don't worry about it. It's like
your ears.
Yeah. He's like, whatever he does, just rip his ears off, send them to me back home. Like just my father's kind of sarcasm and irony, but it was just like, whoa. your parents are giving the green light to this guy to just destroy you if you're being a pest, right? So they trusted the teachers. Today, I talked to my sister and to my best friends, and they're all teachers, and on top of the stress they have of doing their job, which is teaching, they have the parents telling them how to do their job. And it must be frustrating. And I was telling my sister the other day, she was just telling me, last year actually, when the school year ended, all these parents came and they're like, oh yeah, but you should do this, and we don't think you're doing it right, and blah blah blah. And she was stressed out. And I go, listen, all you have to do one day. And of course, it's extreme. She'll never do it, and I don't think I would ever do it. It's easier to say things than to do them, right? I go, here's what you're gonna do: find out where this guy works. Go to his office, sit down, and tell him, you know what you should be doing right now? You should be doing this, or here, let me do this for you.
Here's how you build that bridge.
Yeah. Go, see how that's. Of course, we're joking, but the comparison is that it's like, what are you doing in my classroom, telling me, or emails? Back in the day, our teachers didn't have emails. They had to send a little note in class, or in the agenda or whatever. Today, can you imagine? You go back home, you're a teacher, you're underpaid. You're dealing with kids that have way more issues than back in the day. Attention deficit disorders, OCD. Like, there's so many cases right now. Kids are on medication more than we used to be. So you come back home all stressed, and then on top of that, you open your email, and you have an inbox filled with parents' requests and things that they shouldn't worry about, right? So I don't know. My heart goes out to all the teachers out there.
I want to go back to the phones for a minute.
Yeah.
You have 2 girls in elementary school, grade 1 and 3. 1 and 3 or 1 and 4?
4.
Do they have phones?
No, my kids won't have phones until they get high school. It's been made clear to them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Do they want them though?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Don't look. They have older cousins as well that have their phones, and I mean, they play with our phones time to time. Actually, a lot, but more than they should be. So they know exactly what to do and what the phone is. What they can do with the phone. Right? They're not. They're not completely ignorant. I'm not sure if, my little one is in grade 1. Nobody has cell phones, but I'm trying to think if some of my older daughters.
Grade 4 is what, 10? 10 years old?
Yeah, she's turning 10. Yeah. 9, 10.
Yeah, there's probably lots of 10-year-olds out there with phones.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen any of them with phones. Some of them have a phone when we see them at the park, but they're also alone. So maybe the parent just gave a cell phone and go to the park and I'll call you when to come back kind of thing. So I've seen that. But yeah, it's a topic. It comes up in the conversation quite often. I wouldn't tell you like on a daily basis, but yeah, they mention it. Like my daughter, I say, oh, when can I have a phone? Can I have a phone when I'm 12? Can I have a phone when I'm 10? Can I have a phone when I'm 11? And I told her, listen, you're going to have a phone when I give you a phone. Don't worry about it.
So are there other ways that they can access the internet at home? Like do you have iPads or
no, we have no iPads.
Desktops?
We have no iPads.
Phones, eh?
We have our phones. We have laptops, obviously.
Laptops and desktop. Listen to me. Yeah, Grandpa.
Yeah, we have a typewriter.
Morse code.
But my older daughter learned how to access our laptop with her code, and she knows how to go on the internet, type YouTube. But that we stopped it. We're like, listen, don't fucking touch the laptop ever. Okay, you have access on YouTube on the TVs because we have a smart TV, but even that is limited. So they have a TV that they can watch at home, and occasionally they'll play with our phones.
So your kids spend more time on TV than they do online.
Yeah, but even that, I mean, now in the summer, I mean, the TV is always on. They never watch it though.
Right.
Yeah. But now this summer, we noticed that they spend a lot of time watching YouTube or whatever. They go on Netflix and that sort of thing. So we're getting to a point now with my wife where we're seriously considering figuring out a way. And I don't know how to do this. I'll probably need help from other parents on how to manage the controls. Access, maybe a code or whatever, so that they don't just spend all the time in front of a TV. But yeah. That's where we're at.
So this is just to measure the fact that they're spending more time on TV and online is just a measure of them getting older. It's just the age.
I think so because before they didn't know how to control stuff. They didn't know, you know what I mean? But in any case, even that, because I see my younger one that knows how to do this. She's in grade 1. I mean, she's 6 years old. You know, and she knows how to get the remote and do her stuff. But we never really had an issue because they would pretty much listen. I mean, they would turn on the TV. We have like this the remote that you can just talk to it with. I think we have Videotron. So they grab the remote and you can put a little thing and say YouTube or Treehouse TV or whatever, and the channel just changes automatically. So they watch that. So my TV downstairs, we have a little TV in the kitchen, and it's either on Treehouse TV or on the news. That's pretty much what plays on it. So I wouldn't say my kids are addicted to screens.
That's good.
But the older they get, like this summer, I realized that, oh, come on, man, it's a nice day. Go outside,
Yeah.
And I can see how parents fall into the trap of, because it's easy. It's like they don't bother you. They're there.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just as bad. If I go out, my kids are all grown up now. The youngest is 16. But if I go out for them with them to a restaurant, we're all on our phones.
Yeah.
Unless we make a point of putting them away, we're all sitting there looking at our phones.
Yeah. My wife is very good at it, and she doesn't have. I think I'm addicted to my phone.
I know I am. I'm addicted to your phone. I'm on it all the time, George. When you're not looking,
like with all like with all the content and stuff, with a podcast and. I don't even get paid from it, but it's just I want to put out content, like I enjoy it, right? Yeah. And it's become this thing where it's like, okay, what am I putting out tomorrow or this morning? And you get messages and people share and comment, and like there's this thing of okay. And I've always told myself, turn those off, turn the notifications off. But deep down, I kind of want to know, like what do people think and what are they saying, and do I need to interact? And because it's something that I enjoy as well. So, but my wife just doesn't give a shit. She doesn't care. My wife has it because she wants to make calls and to check whatever we have related to work, right? And that's it. That's it. She does not care.
Good for her.
And it's good. It's good. And
well, that's good to have that balance.
Yeah. So she's
as
really
opposed to two people who are
addicted. So she's really not there. The effort is on my end. When we go out or at a restaurant or whatever, I literally have to put the phone in my pocket, and not bother with it. And that's it. So our kids haven't yet gotten used to that kind of reality where, and I've seen that too. You go to a restaurant and the kids are on a tablet or a phone, and it's just easy for the parents. It's easy. I was over one of my cousin's house over the weekend, and she was talking about her brother-in-law, I think, who had gone over at some point. And they were feeding the kids, and he told her, he's like, oh man, your kids eat without a tablet? And she's like, yeah.
Eat
like dinner, like supper, you know? Yeah.
Why would you need a tablet to eat?
Yeah. So she told him, it's like, well, what are you talking about? Like, that's so, he goes, oh man, I can't put that. They don't come on the table. They don't eat if they don't have their fucking tablet in front of them.
The dinner table's where you're supposed to have family conversation.
Yeah. And it's gotten to a point where to bring the kids to the table and actually have them eat, they need to be distracted by a fucking screen. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's not the only one. I mean, for sure, there are tons of families out there where that is the reality. It's like, okay, come, bring your tablet here, eat. Because it's easier for the parents to just manage that situation rather to go through the process of saying, no, you're going to come eat, screw your tablet, let's go, and to, impose that kind of discipline.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So here's a road that I'm loath to go down, but I'm going to anyway because I want to get your thoughts. Elle magazine, you know what I mean? The women's magazine, Elle.
Yeah.
Elle Canada, last week or the week before, named their 8 Canadian Women of the Year. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are biological men, or as I like to call them,
men.
And a third one was an anti-Israel, pro-Hamas former member of the NDP in Ontario, who I believe got kicked out of the NDP caucus because she was so vocal.
Provincial?
Yes.
I think I know what you're talking about.
She was so vocal about Gaza. And so I'm looking at this story, and
the other 2 are just Regular women, professionals?
Well, one of them's an activist. I think his name is Faye Johnstone.
No, I'm talking about the other two women.
The other.
Because there's 5.
Yeah.
So 2 are trans.
No, there's 8 total.
Oh, there's 8. Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
2 are trans. One is the politician, and then there are 5 who are
women,
regular professional women, and. For the longest time, I heard the term gaslighting, but I didn't know what it meant. And now
I'm still confused about it.
That's gaslighting. That's Elle magazine gaslighting people.
Yeah.
Like provoke. It means provoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're provoking a reaction. If you gaslight someone, it means you're provoking a reaction. And that list certainly provoked a reaction.
From?
Well, just in general.
Okay.
So, go on.
Oh, I thought it made waves, like people were...
Well, it made waves.
Okay.
It made waves on social media.
Okay.
I don't know that anyone in any official capacity has objected to it because
I don't think they would.
Well, you can't.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
These are the times we're living in.
Yeah.
Where
it goes back to what I've said before, and I'll say again: 1% of the people make 99% of the noise. The other 99% are too afraid to say anything because of the potential consequences. So the 1% get to make the rules and set the agenda.
Is Elle magazine a reputable magazine? Like, well, what's the content usually? So I guess fashion.
It's a fashion. I think that's how it started at least. You know, like Chatelaine.
Just fashion and women content in general.
Cosmopolitan.
Right.
That kind. Like it's a mainstream magazine.
Right.
It's a mainstream magazine, but this is what has become mainstreamed and normalized.
You know what sucks, Ted? And maybe they're putting that out because they really want to have that as their cover, and good for them if that's what they really want. But it feels to me that everyone is just falling in line with this trend of taking a position, and you don't have to. Like, if this has nothing to do with your brand or your general content, why are you engaging? And I guess it goes back to the gaslighting.
Well, it's
that
gaslighting and virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Look at us. Look how virtuous we are. We're including 2 transgender women and pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, anti-Israel person.
And here's what bothers me. You don't need to take a position. You don't need to. I mean, there's a conflict happening that has polarized communities all over the world. Let the politicians deal with that. You have nothing to do with that. You are not a political magazine. You've never been politicized before. So what is this statement that you're trying to make? Everyone thinks like they're Time Magazine or whatever, National Geographic. You're not that, dude. You're a fashion and lifestyle magazine. And like, what is the fucking point?
Well, I think there are 2 points. One is the gaslighting part, and the other is the virtue signaling part. And it certainly generated publicity for them, and I'm sure that factored into their thinking as well. Imagine the shitstorm if we name 2 transgender women and this anti-Israel activist as among our women of the year. Imagine the publicity that we're going to get. And then they have to measure, the negative publicity versus the positive publicity. And in the times in which we live right now, you're going to get more positive publicity for that because your allies on that side of the ideological fence are going to, they're going to promote the shit out of you, and anyone who speaks out against you is going to get shouted down. So it's a bit of a no-brainer.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in my view, that whole conflict, at least on a social level, seems to be one-sided, pretty much more pro-Palestine. I mean, or at least they're much more vocal and much more present. Whereas if you're looking at it from like a political or news perspective, it's pretty polarizing. It's pretty divided.
Yeah.
Like I can't say that one side gets more attention than the other necessarily from what I've been following. But on the ground, it feels as though the Israeli side is absent.
Yeah, but at the at the state level, I think Israel has a lot of support.
For sure. Yeah.
I think the United States supports Israel. And I think Canada supports Israel while paying lip service to the plight of the Palestinian
That's what I was
people
going to say.
when it comes down to politics.
And most of it is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's troubling to me as well, because it goes to show you the kind of, politicians that we have. They're spineless. You know what I mean?
Speaking of politicians that we have, I think this is a very funny video for you guys, since we were showing videos before. Sorry to cut the flow like that, but I saw it. I thought it was really funny, and I thought Ted would really appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That I haven't seen.
I didn't see that either.
That's great.
I told you guys would like this.
That was Colbert, I think, or one of the the late show. No, the late night.
Whatever. Who cares, bro?
No, but that's a funny little edit. That's so fucking funny. That's so funny. Yeah, no, going back to what we were saying, though, on a political level, Israel does have a lot of influence, but it's behind the scenes. And that's what sucks, because instead of having our politicians coming out and clearly stating where their support lies, they're kind of on the fence. And there's only a few politicians that have had the courage to, like, for example, the new Argentinian president, Javier Milei. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm pro-Israel.
He's something else. That guy.
Yeah. And you need that. I don't know. I mean, it's really not a good time not to compare politicians when we have Justin Trudeau in power, because this guy is just something else. Honestly, I don't know.
I want you to break down that. Was it a Leger poll that you sent me?
Yeah.
Because I looked at it and I didn't really I didn't understand it.
The Leger poll came out last Thursday. And we spoke about that on our podcast. It's funny because there's always, they call it le sondage de la rentrée. So it's like the poll of, it's kind of like like the new session kind of thing, right? So it's a new year, kind of like a new school year. So like a new political year.
Okay. Is the National Assembly going back?
They're going back, I think, next week, and the week after, I think it's the federal level. And this is kind of like to set the tone, right? Where is everyone situated? It's not really a real poll, because let's not forget one thing: nobody gives a shit about this. During the summertime, nobody cares about what's happening politically.
And they're also midterm right now, right? The CAQ is in the middle of their term.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're we're 2 years out from an election.
2 years out, so it's really far. Anything can happen. But the federal, at the federal level, they're maximum they're going to a campaign by next October, all right? Unless it's called earlier, which we can talk about, because Pierre Poilievre came out fucking on fire last week, pressuring the opposition parties to drop the alliance they have with Justin Trudeau. But all that to say, the poll was split provincial and federal. Provincial, nothing really has changed. The PQ is still in the lead, even though.
Because the first part of that poll had, at the very top, it seemed to me like the CAQ was.
This one here?
Yeah. The CAQ at 34%. What is that?
No, this is just a reminder of of the last election.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
right,
so it says the October the 2nd. Where were we? Okay, so this is what they had polled, 38%, and after the official elections in 2022, the CAQ got 40. The Leger had polled him at 38.
All right.
So it's just to show a little of the credibility.
Okay.
So just to show, by the way, this is what we had polled during the election. This is the numbers that actually came out. We weren't too far off. And then it goes down, it breaks down the actual support. So the PQ is first at 29. The CAQ
would
comes
the
in second.
PQ win a majority with those numbers?
Yes, they would. No, they're not. They're not in majority territory. They're not in majority territory. But the good news for the PQ is that they're coming in first, both in in voter intentions and also as the best prime minister. So Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon is running a party that is coming first, and he himself is considered the best choice as premier. The problem with this is that, and this is what I said on our podcast, the challenge is huge for the PQ going forward because, number one, like we said, there's 2 more years before the next election, so anything could happen. And Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon there are only 4 in the House. There are only 4. So maintaining that lead is going to be a huge challenge for them for the next 2 years. But in addition to that, when we're looking at the polls, even though the PQ, I mean, now it's pretty much stable. I mean, there's no ups and downs really. The number that I saw was in the support for sovereignty. It's not moving at all. It's pretty much stable at 35%. So I don't know what Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon is going to do in the next 2 years, but he is adamant about his project for sovereignty, for the sovereignty of Quebec. So you might be okay, and you might kind of, cheer on the fact that you're coming first in the polls. But at the end of the day, your project is really not going anywhere. So what are you going to do from now until October of 2026? That number needs to move. So that's going to be a big challenge for him, I find. But pretty much that's what, the big numbers were at a provincial level.
Part of what's interesting to me anecdotally is, I mean, I've said this to you, if Quebec separated, I don't think I'd move at this point in my life. I've been here for 40 years. Yeah. I'm 65 years old. I'm not gonna up and move. I'm happy here. Yeah. And I do fine here. My French is not great, but it's good enough. Yeah. I can get by and I get along with people here. I'd be happy here. I've had other people who are not like me, are not traditionally PQ supporters, who've not only said that they wouldn't leave, they're even thinking about voting for the PQ.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why though?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Because
and these are Anglos, I'm assuming.
Anglos or Francos or Francophones or Allophones who are not traditional PQ supporters, but who've gotten to a place where, and I think maybe this is a measure of how much Trudeau's fractured the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the numbers at the federal level, especially here in Quebec. I mean, well, first of all, across Canada, the Conservatives are still doing fantastic. They're way ahead of any other party, and I think if there were elections called tomorrow, Pierre Poilievre would probably win with probably one of the biggest majorities that party has ever had. But specifically in Quebec, the Bloc is coming in first. The Liberals are second, and the Conservatives are a distant third. Not a distant third, a close third. So, I mean, the difference between the Liberals and the Conservatives are, in my opinion, within the margin of error. So, this is very interesting to me because this is the only province where the Liberals could still maintain certain seats. The Bloc is definitely going to do much better, that's for sure, especially given the rise of the PQ. That's going to influence the vote federally. And the question then remains, what's going to happen with the Conservatives? Is he going to get more than, I think they have 9 seats now or 10? The people that are speculating say that he will. He's going to get way more than they ever got before. And what's going to happen to Justin Trudeau? Let's remind everyone that Monday, the next Monday, in La Salle, Villemar, Verdun, there's a by-election. And it's not looking so good for the Liberal Party over there, which is a stronghold, right? Just like Toronto St. Paul was, I think, when was it, back in May or June, whenever that election was?
And did that go Conservative?
Yeah, that went Conservative.
And so which way is this one tilting?
I don't think the Conservatives have a chance over here. But
so where, Bloc?
The NDP
really?
has Craig Sauvé, who is a very well-known municipal councillor. He's running over there. He's having very good chances of winning. The Liberals are divided. They're frustrated. They're not very happy with the candidature either. She was parachuted last minute. There was no nomination process over there, which looks negatively on Justin Trudeau because he was so adamant about doing nomination races everywhere just to make it, quote unquote, democratic, right?
Right.
That didn't happen. They just grabbed her. They threw her in there. They screwed over like 2 or 3 other candidates that were actually running for almost a year. Looking to become the candidate, thinking that there's going to be a race, right? So that didn't happen. So a lot of people
you can't do that. You can't undermine the rank and file like that.
Well, he can do whatever he wants.
Well, he can. Yeah, but it's not a great idea, is it?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is that when you're giving hope to someone that, look, we're going to run a nomination, so go out there, get the memberships, bring the people to the convention, and may the best man win, kind of thing.
And then you cut them off at the knees.
You cut them off. They're like, well, thank you for the memberships, the members that you brought in. Here's what. But it's not you. I mean, they did that with Mélanie Joly in Hansik as well. There was this guy, Anthony DiCarlo. He had been campaigning for probably a year. The guy had brought in, I think, 6,000 members on his own. He was all over the place. And last minute, they squeezed everyone out. And they told him, look, we need you to step down. We'll bring in Mélanie Joly. And I remember, because I know him, and I told him, don't do it, man. Don't do it. Force a convention with a number of members that you have. He goes, George, they're going to give me some opportunities.
I was going to ask if there's any compensation when they...
You know what they offered him?
What?
To organize Justin Trudeau's campaign in his riding. I go, dude, that's what you're going to get. And of course, after that, he got a job. He worked for several cabinet ministers. But still, I mean, you worked your ass off, dude. You know what I mean? Anyway, all this to lead into what Pierre Poilievre did last week. He knows that people are tired of Justin Trudeau. He's looking at the polls. It's not looking so well, and he made he gave a press conference last Thursday where he urged the NDP to break off the alliance he has with Justin Trudeau, to force a vote of non-confidence in the House, and to get an election going.
Without the NDP support, they would fail.
Well, I mean, they could get it, I think, through the Bloc.
Yeah.
Now, would the Bloc consider supporting them? Probably. I don't know. I don't think anyone is ready at this point to do an election except for the Conservatives. I mean, there's record levels of money going in. It's insane. The amount of money this party has raised over the last couple of months is just, it's absurd. So he called him, what did he say? He said, end the alliance or else you'll forever be known as Sellout Singh. He's so good with the labels,
Yeah.
And one quote that has stuck out and everyone is using it, he said, people didn't elect you to keep Justin Trudeau in power. And he is 100% right on that. Nobody voted the NDP to keep Justin Trudeau in power. They voted NDP, well, knowing you'd probably be an opposition party, but you have an important role as an opposition party, and that's, it's that checks and balances tradition that we have in Canada, and the opposition parties play a tremendous role. Of course, the NDP has taken advantage of that to pass a lot of their plans. So when you look, it's strange because when you're looking at it from an accomplishment kind of level, the NDP has gotten way more things passed than ever before in their history. Just because of this alliance that they have. Problem with Singh is that at some point, dude, you cannot go into an election year, and we are in an election year right now. I mean, we're in September now. If they pull this to the maximum, we're going into an election next October, which means they start campaigning end of August, beginning of September of 2025. So theoretically, you're in an election year right now. How are you going to campaign against Justin Trudeau when you have partnered up with him
years propping him up
for the last 2.5 years?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense. So I think practically he's in trouble, but in terms of realizations, he's gotten way more done than any other leader of the NDP, which is a mysterious, it's really funny.
So what are some of the policies NDP?
Well, look, they got the dental care, the pharmacare, the whole thing with what do you call it? The tax, the capital gain tax.
Right.
That was on their platform. So they're getting a lot of these things passed, and this is all NDP. It's all NDP platform, and Justin Trudeau is just giving into them. At the end of the day, Justin Trudeau is he's gonna come on top of that. And we've had this conversation before. I think that when the real campaign starts, Justin Trudeau is going to go knock on those NDP doors and say, listen, you got more done with us than with your party. Vote for me to keep Pierre Poilievre out of government. Because look, we got your stuff passed. So we can work together, but you need to support me. because we need to make sure that that far-right politician, that Trump-like politician, I'm using quotes that actually are being used by Justin Trudeau, right, doesn't get into power.
Well, that's their playbook against Poilievre, right?
For sure.
He's Trump light. He's Trump North.
Yeah. The problem Justin Trudeau has is that the only province where he can potentially do okay is Quebec. Because the other polls that came on, this wasn't a Léger poll, I can't remember which other poll, he is destroying everyone in the Maritimes. Like 0 seats to the other parties.
Poilievre is destroying everyone in the Maritimes? Yeah. Really, eh?
He wins every seat in the Maritimes. Based on that, I can't remember
including
which
Newfoundland?
Every seat in the Maritimes.
So Atlantic Canada.
Atlantic Canada goes to the Conservatives entirely, which is huge, right? So it leaves the Liberals only with Quebec. That's it. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. So I don't know. Is Jagmeet Singh gonna? Because he came out the day after, so on Friday, I think he came out and said, "Listen, removing our support for the Liberal government is always on the table." So Poilievre's like, "Okay, well, put your fucking money where your mouth is, and let's see. Let's go. Come on. Let's get him out of out of that seat." Is he going to do it? I don't know.
So if he did, and there was a snap election based on a non-confidence vote, and the Conservatives won a majority, what would change in the short term?
That's an interesting question, and that I think is the big challenge that Poilievre is going to have, because his main rhetoric right now is we got to control government spending. We have to go back to a balanced budget, and we got to take care of our numbers. So with a $40+ billion deficit, day one of a conservative government, for sure there are cuts. For sure. Either you increase taxes or you cut down on government spending. There's no magic formula.
Are there any specific targets?
What do you mean?
Well, for spending cuts. Like, has he talked about where he would cut?
Well, we know that he's going to definitely cut from the CBC because he's been saying it.
Yeah. That'd be no loss. Take it from someone who doesn't work and gets up every morning and watches CBC. Yeah. That would be no loss.
I don't know where he's going to cut from, and that's going to be very interesting to see, because it's easy when you're in opposition to criticize, but then when you're in power and you realize that, our social services are going to take a big hit, local organizations that take care of, the homeless or, the needy, they're going to lose funding, and that's what Harper did, and that's what Harper was very much criticized in the beginning. But when you look at the end, Canada was performing way better under Harper economically than we are today, right?
Did Harper balance the budget?
Harper had a surplus.
Wow.
Harper's last year, I think there was a surplus. It was a $7 billion surplus budget, and from that, it was an election year, right? So he took out a bunch of goodies. Promises, election promises, right? And I think at the end, when Justin Trudeau went in, there was a $3 or $4 billion deficit, something like that, which at a federal level is nothing.
Yeah,
it's nothing. It's nothing. So
and that's annually.
It wasn't. Yeah.
And now it's at 40
plus.
So 1,000% increase.
Yeah. And let's remind everyone listening that when Justin Trudeau, and I remember this because we were in his campaign team at that point, in 2015, he had said, and he was the only one that openly said, he goes, look, we're going to be transparent with Canadians. We are going to run mild deficits, and return back to a balanced budget by 2019. That was the last time Justin Trudeau spoke of a balanced budget. That's it. Because obviously never happened.
Those were the balance will budget itself days.
Yeah. We're going to come back. And there's a video that keeps coming up in my feed going back to that election in 2015 where there was like this town hall kind of meeting during the campaign that Harper was doing, and he was talking about specifically his economic policies.
This is Harper?
This is Harper.
Yeah. So,
and he was saying how incompetent Justin Trudeau is, and he was saying exactly that. He goes, Justin Trudeau is saying that he's going to run mild budgets, and he goes, that's the complete opposite of what you need to do when you're in a performance period in your finances. So when the numbers are going up and you're finally balancing, you have to continue being fiscally prudent, not waste more money and put the country back into deficit. So and he was saying that he has no idea what he's talking about, and he will never run mild deficits, and you will never be back to a balanced budget. And they keep playing that back because it's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You know. So Harper. People judge them, people criticize them, and they seem to miss him now more and more.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. So two things can happen. Either Justin Trudeau goes into election earlier, so maybe, in March in his next budget, so just in a couple of months now, he's going to come out and put out a budget and say, look, this is our budget, and it's going to be an election budget. If you're on board, good. If not, we're going to an election, and he forces an election based on that budget. So it'll be kind of like a platform budget for him, setting the stage for his campaign. Or he's going to pull it out and stretch it out as much as possible and take it all the way to.
You think either way, for sure, he's going to run again?
Yeah.
Really? Eh? Yeah.
It would surprise me, Ted. I mean, you would be screwing up your party big time if you would leave right now. Mind you, he can do it, but. By doing so, the party's finished.
But I'm thinking of it in another way. Like, how about some fresh blood? Like, the guy's been around now for almost a decade.
Yeah.
As
it'll be exactly a decade next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're badly lagging in the polls, would you not want to consider a new leader to try? For me,
that would be the alarm signal that, dude, step down. Like, it can be more obvious. It can't be more obvious. But look, man, it's the ego. It's all of that package that comes with being in politics.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he's going to do. And I've been wrong many times before because I thought he was going to step down so many times in the past, and I've been wrong. So he says that he's doing the race and that he has. He's convinced that Canadians still can trust him to do the job. I don't see it, and it's evident in the polls as well. And you know what? I'm curious to know and to see what's going to happen on Monday. Because if he loses that election, that by-election in LaSalle, Villemard, Verdun, how can you remain? How can you remain, at the top of your party? He got a lot of pressure from Toronto, St. Paul to step down after losing that.
Yeah.
Liberal
and
fortress.
Those were both liberal strongholds.
Yeah.
So this would be the second liberal stronghold in a few months.
Yeah.
That he lost.
Yeah. So I don't understand how you can stay there. We'll see. We'll see on Monday. Anything else you want to talk about quickly before we wrap it up?
No, we can wrap it up now. Oh, he was ready to go, wasn't he?
Let's go. Fuck. Yeah, just finger on the button.
Here's your hat. What's your hurry?
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for the support. Make sure to share the content. Comment on it if you want. You can follow every single one of us. I am Poseidon69. The Poseidon69 on all platforms. ThePoseidon.com. You can follow me if you understand or know French, politiquement parlant. Ted Bird over there on all social media platforms, standing by the Terry and Ted podcast, starting quite possibly next week. So that's a lot of excitement for me, at least, to know that these two legends in the broadcasting world are going to be with you every single week from here on. That's amazing. I love it.
For the rest of all time.
Right here. Follow and subscribe this YouTube channel and head on over to patreon.com/Pantelis for all exclusive content. PantelisComedy.com if you want to check out Pantelis and wherever he's performing. Support. And thank you all very much. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care.
That's it.
What else did you want to say?
I don't know.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.